Hi guys, this is your host Coco. We are having an amazing live today with me and three other amazing ladies, which I'm about to invite to join. Let's see. Okay. Trying to add my ladies right here. Give me a second. Hello.
Hi, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. I'm just adding one more. Oops, there goes my phone. Let's see if Shar got that invite. 1 second. Oh, there she is. How's everybody doing?
Very good.
Oh, look at us. Okay, this is awesome. So, for everybody watching, my name is Coco, and I'm going to let the ladies introduce themselves. We are a part of Bellabeat's campaign, The Present is Female, and we wanted to just talk to you more about all the gender biases we're experiencing day to day. Okay, Isabella left. 1 second. So, ladies, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Sure, I can go first. My name is Shayna Taylor. I am a holistic nutritionist and wellness entrepreneur. And yeah, I'm excited to be here and talk about this topic. I think we're all a bit passionate about it, and I think it's nice to be able to talk openly about something that's obviously extremely obvious in today's world. So,
Isabel?
Hi, guys. I'm Vita. I am a celebrity CEO and founder of So excited to be on today. Obviously, feel like part of life and society. There's just so much double standards. More on
Try.
Hi guys, my name is Shari Hawkins. I am a Team USA pentathlete and heptathlete, and I just recently won the national gold medal at USA Nationals this last week, and I am headed tomorrow to Belgrade so that I can go for the world gold medal. So I'm really excited to be here talking about biases and all things female. I think this is going to be a really fun day for all of us.
Awesome. So we are all from very diverse backgrounds, and we're having a completely different life path, kind of, but at the same time, we have so many things in common. So we just wanted to kind of, as you guys said, brought it to light, like all the things that we face day to day. So like you, Chari, as an athlete, what is something that you always kind of feel, what kind of biases do you feel in your day-to-day life?
The great thing about the track and field world is we really do separate men and women in a lot of different ways. So the men do like the 110 hurdles and the women do 100 hurdles. So it's kind of hard to compare the times side by side. But when it comes to things like long jump and everything like that, like a lot of times I get compared to them athletically based on the fact that our bodies are different. So a lot of times when I do something that is really, really good, it kind of gets taken down a little bit just because, oh, well, a guy could do that better. And that's potentially possible. Maybe the best male athlete in the world could probably beat me. And I think that would be okay. But it doesn't really take away from the fact that there are a lot of things that I've been able to do and accomplish that a lot of people, both men and women, haven't. So still pretty cool.
There's something that when we talked before, I remember there was this, you were featured at a forum and you had an amazing result about something, but you said everybody was just commenting on your looks. So instead of, celebrating your success in the field, everybody was just like talking what were they saying? What was your experience with that?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it was very much just like, oh, like just talking about like, the way I looked and really kind of disregarding what I was doing in general. And I think as women, a lot of times we are not taken as seriously as we probably should be. I am really, really lucky that everybody within my own community really respects, you know, my work ethic and me talking about mental health and my journey. And, you know, you guys might not even know this, but I wasn't really like the best athlete growing up. I had to really work so hard to get to where I was. And so I feel super lucky, but outside of the scope, just in everyday life, it really is super easy just to be taken not as seriously as an athlete, maybe because of the way that I look.
And Isabel, you were saying that you also, as a business owner, you're not taken seriously many times just because you show up on your own without
Yeah.
a male partner, like without somebody behind your. So tell us more about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, all the time. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Yes,
It was a
okay,
little
cool.
issue in the beginning, but
Perfect, perfect. Um, definitely. Like as a business owner, a women-owned business, right? Now we're seeing it a little bit more where there's tons of women owning businesses and being entrepreneurs and CEOs. But still to this day, I can't express the amount of times where I've walked into meetings, whether it's deals, negotiations, just different stuff for Dolce Glow. If I haven't walked in with a male, I can guarantee like it was just completely different. And like that, whether it was the offer that was made or whatever it is, or just the general question, who's your business partner? Who invested in you? Always expecting like a male to be a part of it. And actually it's the opposite. You know, I built this brand solely on, you know, by myself. And I know that if I would have walked into the room sometimes with a male by my side, you know, you feel taken advantage of and you just feel that energy change in those rooms. And so, you know, I still to this day, all the time, it's like it's just received totally different when you have a male with you versus you know, just by yourself.
yeah. Shayna, where you moved to Europe recently, right? Tell
Yeah.
us about that. How did you decide to just like move? I mean, you and I share that we both just decided to move and we made the jump and we were just like, okay, I'm gonna try something else. Like I know when I told everybody I'm from Croatia, when I told everybody in Croatia I'm just gonna move to the States, people were like, okay, it's so dangerous out there, you shouldn't do that, you're a woman, you just like, you know, you don't have to take this risk, like you're comfortable at home, just be home. So did you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been really lucky because I've had a mom who's been an entrepreneur her whole life. And so she's really taught me that no matter what is told to you and no matter what people try to categorize you as like, no matter whatever your passion is, just go for it and know that it's possible 100%. And I feel really lucky that I had a mom that really kind of coached me through those things because there's been so many hurdles in my life where I've been screwed over or felt disrespected, or you know, being an entrepreneur as well. When I was, you know, I wanted to move to Europe for like 3 years, more than that really, but like realistically 3 years ago, and I needed to make my businesses established in America before I could go. And now they really have been established, and I feel really lucky to be in the wellness space. But just like she was saying, also, you know, it's amazing how when you become successful and you're a beautiful woman, especially the like they don't believe that I did it by myself. Not what it's like automatically they're like, oh yeah, really, you must have a rich family, or yeah, you must whatever. It's like it's so wild to me that my whole career has been like how impressive you are that you're a woman and you've pushed forward and you keep going. It's like it always is like categorized as, oh well, you obviously had it, you know, you must have been given it, or you must have been something. And it's like it's so crazy. But anyway, so I decided on my own, I'm single, to move to Europe and just take the jump. And I kind of got the same, you know, my friends all support me, but they were like, you're literally single and you're just gonna go by yourself. And I was like, yeah, of course, because listen, like I've pushed through everything my whole life, and it's something that I knew I wanted for my sole purpose, and I really want to expand my businesses here in Europe because I feel like it's needed. And yeah, I just kept going. Here I am. I'm in Switzerland now.
Shayna, I love that like you said that because, you know, just being an entrepreneur, business owner myself, and, you know, people expected, you know, now that I have this business, a very successful business that's growing every single day, going back to the male, who invested in you, who's your business partner. I'm a former foster child, started living on my own at the age of 17, blood, sweat, and tears, renting a room for $300 at a stranger's house. That sometimes there's this expectation that you have to have this male figure, or you were handed like that, or you're privileged based on our looks. Oh, you're blonde, she must come from a rich family, or whatever the case is. And when they really have gotten to know me or you, you know, and all of us on here, that it's like, wait, there's a story. These women are so amazing. They're incredible. They built these businesses on their own. Their lives are successful. So I love that you address that, because I truly feel like it's something that is still women. People don't believe that women can be successful on their own.
No,
Yeah,
we're judged by how we look always. And like
Yeah.
you said, it's like as soon as people get to know you and they sit in a meeting with you and they talk about you and they see your passions and they see your drive, then everything starts to, you know, trickle off a little bit and they stop being a little judgmental. But it is wild that it's always first impression.
I even saw somebody in the comments, bro, you guys are privileged. So it's like you can never win as a that's also why all of us blondies got together, because just to people can see that the color of our hair doesn't mean that we are more or less intelligent, which brings me to a question that we were all discussing. What is the question that you've been asked a dozen times that you think men would never be asked the same? Like I'm 30, turned 30 this year, and people always ask me, "Oh, you're not married yet," or "When you're gonna have kids," or like "Your clock is ticking" and stuff like that. Did you guys experience similar things?
Well, personally, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and how do you juggle being a mom? How do you juggle being a wife? How do you juggle being a business owner? Are they going up to the males and saying, how do you juggle being a dad? How do you know? I think that that's something that I get asked all the time. Do you spend time with your daughter? Do they go up to the dads and say, do you spend time with your daughter? You know, so I think as a business owner, being a mom, that's one of the questions I get asked all the time.
Yeah, they just feel like you have to choose, either you're going to be a mom or you're going to have a career, but you would never ask a guy the same thing.
No.
You would like, I also see when guys are like, when, let's say if a guy is taking care of his kid, they're like, oh, you're babysitting today. It's not babysitting, it's your child. Like, you should spend time with that child. I mean, yeah, but did you guys ever feel uncomfortable about any situations just because you were a woman, like at a workplace? I mean, when I used to work in corporate America, I was like, men would always talk over me. So like I would say, somebody asked me a question, I'm trying to explain what I'm like, I'm trying to say what I think, and guys are just like, oh, I'll answer it for her. I mean, I you know, I can just speak for myself. Yeah. Tell me about any like uncomfortable situations, or like if you ever felt judged but just because you were a woman.
I don't want to hijack the whole conversation, but I do want to talk about a moment that I had mentioned to you guys previously. Was when I was in the corporate world, I had a high-risk pregnancy, which means that I needed to be watched. I had a doctor's appointment 2 times a week. And I remember going out to my male supervisor and saying, hey, I need to be out this day, and this day. And he's like, you can't take all this time off. It's not fair to the other people here. I'm like, excuse me, like I'm pregnant. Is everyone else here pregnant? I have a high risk pregnancy, so it's a little bit more at a, you know, riskier scale. And I remember I'm thinking to myself, you have no idea what I'm going through as a woman, being pregnant, having a life, you know, developed and created inside of me. And not only is it regular pregnancy, I'm high risk. And I'm like, you would never say this to a male, you know? And so the fact that I even got questioned, and I really felt like I was treated so different just because I was pregnant. And for me, that was a situation that I'll never, ever forget.
And do you guys like, obviously we're all women here, do you feel the same level of energy every day in your, like, we have periods, and periods are very painful for us women, and people are just not giving us some kind of credit when you are, let's say, the first day of your period. You would never call in. I mean, you can't really call in sick and say, oh, my period is so heavy today, I'm not going to come to work. But you can, you know, if a guy was calling that has a heavy migraine, they would let him maybe stay at work. But like our painful periods are not the same. So do you guys feel the same level of energy every day, or you feel like you actually don't? Shayna?
No. I mean, it's funny because when you're a woman and you're an entrepreneur, and I'm also an Aries, so I'm like, feel like I'm a workaholic, and I sometimes I think I overdo things a lot. And I think when again you're kind of put in this box of like, I'm a woman and I'm an entrepreneur, so I almost feel like I have to work harder. I've really had to accept over the years of like finding balance in my life and understanding that it's not necessary to perform the same amount every single day, when not only is it like not good for your mental health to push your body, but it's also like understanding what the body needs. And as women, like with our cycle, and because we have so many different stages, and those stages and hormones affect our body and the way that we perform and how we think, and if we're a little more emotional, or the opposite, how we're like way more energetic or way more sharp or have a lot more, you know, whatever, stigma to just do more things. It's you definitely have to pay attention. And I mean, today was like, it's funny because I'm actually in my ovulation time, but I have been so tired today. I think because I've traveled so much, and I've just gotten to like a detox spot and like my whole body. And I was just thinking before this call, I was like, this is exactly to the point. Like, it's not every day that we are going to feel like $1,000,000, and it's okay to feel that way. And it should be more open, and we should talk about it more, that like, I mean, it's normal. It's not something crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also something that I really wanted to talk about too is I know that a lot of people know a woman that they love that probably wants to work out. So I feel like as like an athlete, and like people just like, I guarantee like all of us are very active in our lives, but it's really important to train around your cycle. Like that's so vital and important, because as a female athlete, our bodies don't do the same thing that male athletes do, and that's okay. And whether you're a coach of a female athlete, you have daughters that are female athletes, you yourself are a female person that loves to work out and everything like that, it's really important to understand that your body is different than the male body. And it's so important to know how to train around that. And so there are specific parts of your body, times of your cycle, that you need to take it easy. When you're feeling fatigued as a woman and it's due to your cycle, it's not really necessary.
Right?
Yeah, you can't suck it up. You can't like push through. You can't do it, because especially like for me, actually the times that I've gotten my most injured have been times where actually my cycle was off, and so my balance was off, and so that's when I fall. That's when I hurt myself in ways that I probably shouldn't have hurt myself, because I shouldn't be training like that. I should be taking it easy. I should be stretching, doing the things that I need to recover appropriately. And it's so important to know our strengths and differences as men and as women, so that we can like succeed in the way that we can. And I think if we accept each other's differences and we understand like, okay, this is the difference. And instead of being like, oh, like just because you're a woman, you can't take a break just because you're a woman. Instead of thinking that way and thinking of, oh my goodness, let's work around this cycle so that we can make you stronger for tomorrow. I mean, that's when we're really going to see all the benefits come
Do you
through.
guys practice any type of self-care specifically when you are on the first day of your period? Like I always try to take it easy. I'm trying to just like literally lay down, watch TV, eat whatever food I want to eat, and just kind of like treat myself those days when I'm feeling a little down. Do you have any like tips and tricks for women what to do?
You know what? I mean, I feel like, just because every day, business owner, mom, like for me, it's so hard to do sometimes even a few hours of self-care. I personally love getting massages, and that's something that I'm like at least an hour while my daughter's at school. But it goes back to also like the period shaming, like it's just not talked about enough, right?
Yeah.
What if you got your period, you have a day full of meetings, and you're like, should I send an email? Hey guys, like I'm on my period, I'm not feeling well, obviously with the internal girl team, but outside it's like it's really not spoken about or mentioned enough. That I think that there's days that I would love to do more of that, and I hope that I can start. But if I can squeeze in a massage here and there, and like that extra espresso shot, etc., that is like a self-care quick little thing for me that I love to do.
What about you, Shayna?
Yeah, I think I definitely take it a little more easy. Like I'm such an introvert anyway, and even though I love my friends and going out and stuff like that, and normally I always can feel it. I'm so sensitive that I will make sure I stay home and order in if I don't feel like cooking something simple. And like I always have loads of dark chocolate on hand because I am like a dark chocolate fanatic on
Yes.
my period. Like it's so insane. And actually, like I did this thing actually with Bellabeat, and it was pretty incredible. We did a date, this like stuffed dark chocolate date, and
That sounds
why we did. Yeah, it was delicious recipe, and why I think it was important, of course, is when you can do this, if you prep in advance. Like obviously, as women, if we have a regular cycle, we can kind of know when it's coming, or you can feel when it's coming. If you prep snacks like this and put it in your fridge as like treats when you're not feeling very up to up the energy, it's really good to kind of nourish your body with those things that your body wants that also are like have nutrients in them. And I'm not much of a TV watcher, but I tend to watch shows or catch up on stuff that I was missing out on my period, just to actually sit and chill, which I normally have a very hard time doing.
Yeah, we really need to listen to our bodies. And I feel like if you're not feeling well, you can't even perform in your day-to-day tasks. Like if I'm in a meeting and I need to really show up and I really need to explain something and I need to be, on top of my game. If I'm not feeling well, I'm not gonna be presenting the story properly, or I'm not gonna, like, people can tell if you're not feeling your 100%. So I feel like people should just give us more credit when we are on our period. And period shaming is such a, like, I'm sure all of you guys as teenagers were hiding your tampons and pads as you're going to the bathroom. Like, God forbid somebody sees a tampon on the floor, or like your bag, or like, I think that, you know, period shaming is such a, it's kind of, I don't know.
and
It's
and
just,
and
yeah.
even with the whole period shaming, it's like, you know, there's a lot of women that, for at least my cycle, my period, it's pretty manageable and stuff like that because of birth control and all that stuff. But there's women that can't even move. They go to the hospital, they have
Yeah.
endo, just like at a whole nother level, that it's not just the basic cramps and I'm tired. I know so many women around me that are just suffering during this time of month. And I used to know a coworker in the corporate world where she would bleed massively, and she had to come to work every single day and couldn't tell anyone. And so, I hope that as, United States, hopefully at some point there'll be some more stuff for, women on their period, like some of these other countries do.
Do you
Um,
guys, yeah.
a really quick like tip that I have found for myself is if you do have something like a cycle that is a little bit more regular and like, okay, my cycle is on its way here right now. I actually love to drink a gallon of water and having a quarter of that be electrolytes. So it literally like clears your brain so well and gives you a really big boost of energy. Adding in like freshly squeezed orange or lemon to like really help with that. Like I remember I did that, and then I took a little bit of ibuprofen a couple of days before, and everything. Usually I have really, really horrible periods, and it was such a better experience, and I started doing that a little bit more regularly. And I'm always so grateful when I can catch right before my period and really like hydrate and take care of myself, make sure I'm getting a lot of sleep. It really helps my symptoms like so much. So I don't know if you guys have any like amazing tips, but that one is so helpful for me.
Yeah, magnesium and omega is really, really important also with women who have like really intense cramps. Taking magnesium at night before bed. I mean, honestly, you could take magnesium every day. Everyone's kind of magnesium deficient. But also taking omega-3 and 6 it would really help lower the pain in period cramping as well.
Shari, there's something that I remember when we were talking before. There's a story that I would really, really love for you to share. Something about, can you just hold it?
Yeah, so my dad was in a church meeting, and I guess like the head of the church came. We were having a meeting, and there was a girl who just let me know, like, hey, I'm gonna have to leave a little bit during the meeting. I'm just gonna tell you right now, like, I'm on my period, so I'm gonna have to leave. And everybody was like, okay, yeah, sounds good. And when she was out of the when she was out of the room, my dad came home and he was mortified because the head of the church, who had children and had a wife and everything, she left, and he was like, can't she just hold it? And my dad was like, what'd you just say?
That's
And
insane.
it's just like so interesting how there are so many people who, because there are a lot of men who don't get their periods, they just don't know much about them. And I think it's really important for us to talk about it so that us as a society can not say that.
Just hold it. I mean, that's crazy that somebody would. When was that? Was that like a long time ago, or like?
Yeah, it was like back when I was. I remember he just came home and he was like, but I mean, the guy was a
So
grown
did
up,
he think we could
45,
hold it, or he was just
old,
being rude?
and he was just like, can't she just hold it?
Wow.
And my dad was like, I don't think that's how that works.
I remember when I don't know how old I was, but I was like in the first few years of getting my period, and I remember I didn't know I'm about to get it, and I was sitting in a classroom, and I just bled all over the chair. I was mortified. When I noticed, somebody told me, like my friend who was sitting with me, I just looked down and I ran out home. I feel like I think I didn't come back to school for a few days. I was so embarrassed. Do you guys have any similar experiences like that growing up?
Goes back to like middle school and high school, asking your friends, hey, can you check me? Am I stained? Hey, like I'll never forget those days. Hey, are you good? I'm good. Okay. Or like, oh my gosh, girl, you got to go to the bathroom. You're stained. Like, I remember that so much in middle school and high school. Cheerleading, we had white uniforms. That was like our biggest fear, like being on our period in high school that we're just going to have. And it happened, right? Like you'd sit down, and on our cheerleading skirts, we had stains, and all of us covering it up, putting a sweater around our waist, so I'll never forget those moments, because it's just like, we don't want anyone to know we're on our periods.
Yeah. What about you, Shayna?
Yeah, I mean, I had very similar situations. I also, grew up with my father and my brothers, and so I think they didn't necessarily help the situation so much, because even though it's like my dad was always super supportive, of course, and it was always lovely about it, but my brothers, because they're my own brothers, were like, ew, oh my God, you're on your period, like, and they do make you feel totally insecure about it, which, like, of course they mean nothing by it, but it's just funny how, like, that was the conditioning that they obviously got from school, or like from their friends, of course, and so doing it to me was something that was funny or trendy, was like making fun of a girl that was on her period. And it's funny because, I mean, maybe this is too TMI, but it was the same thing for me going to the bathroom, like going number 2 as a woman was like really just something disgusting. Like, women don't go number 2. And it's like, what do you mean women don't poop? Like, are you kidding me? Like, what? Like, and I remember that being like a huge thing too. I was like scarred in middle school. I would never go to the bathroom at school. I would literally make my dad come and pick me up because I was so embarrassed to go at school, because this was like the, people were saying like, no, that's gross. Women don't do that. Like, that's not normal. And it's like, what do you mean women don't poop? Like,
I totally agree. I mean, I remember even now, now not as much, but when I was growing up, men would always comment very weird, like whenever you would go to the bathroom and like there for a long time, they're like, oh, what did you do in there? Or you're on your period, changing your tampon, ew, gross. Like, why is that so gross? What do you think that we can do to make period shaming stop once and for all? Chari, if you want to give us
I think it's just about being open about it. Because I know this is interesting, but I think as a society we're really susceptible to just wanting to like kind of fit in. And imagine if every single person just talked about it like it was no big deal. And so if somebody made it a big deal, it was kind of like, why are you making that that's weird, you're making that a big deal. And I think like doing kind of the opposite. So instead of being like, oh, you're on your period, it's kind of like, why are you uncomfortable about periods? Are you 11 years old? Kind of a thing. And it's like, it doesn't have to be so like shameful in that way, but it's kind of just like, when we talk about something like it's not a big deal, people kind of adapt, and I think that the more that it's talked about, the more people are like, yeah, like that makes sense. Yeah. And I think that's just really important.
I think another thing too, I have an all girls team, other than my husband who helps behind the scenes and stuff. And all of our periods have sinks. I don't know if you guys have experienced that. Yeah. So all of us, the 3 of us, it's like we're all on our cycle around the same time. And so obviously it just is so easy for us to be, oh my God, do you have some Advil? Like we're all going through it at the same time, which is so funny how when you're around women, you guys most of the time women end up, their periods end up syncing. It's so weird. But I think that now, just like you said, just continuing to talk about it, you know, just be, like you said, imagine all of us just saying, hey, I'm on my period, and like that's okay. Like I just think if all of us together do that more in our workspaces around us, like I think it can make a huge difference in the way women are viewed, and hopefully it's going to become more of a day-to-day thing where just, you know, it's just okay, you know, I totally understand, versus that yucky face that we would get.
Yeah, I actually have a couple friends, and I've always looked up to this because I thought it was so cute. Is like my friend's husband always has her cycle on his phone so that he knows to like, okay, I can check in if something's off and like see what part of her cycles are in, so I could do all the things that she likes to do. And I always like, I'll never forget, it was the sweetest, the smallest gesture of a husband or a boyfriend that can literally just like, you know, be like, are you good? Like, what part of your cycle? Can I do something for you? Like, it's just to be a normal conversation instead of it being like, oh, so annoying. Like, why are you being so emotional? And like, it just, I don't know, everybody just needs to be more like it's normal, and it's not anything to be ashamed of, and it's a topic that we should all talk about and want to learn more about, because I think that also has been part of the problem, is that no one's really that educated. It's just like girls have a period and they can get pregnant, and that was like the basics, and it's like it's so much more complex than that. So I think it's just about educating and being interested in wanting to learn more about the details of the cycle and what it means, so that we can talk about it openly and more people become more interested in it and understand it.
I love this story that you just said about the husband putting it in his calendar. That's so smart. I think all men out there listening, please think about that. That's a really good tip. Did you guys ever get, you know, sometimes if you're in a bad mood or if you're a little cranky, did you ever get asked, oh, are you in your period or something?
Mm-hmm.
Try.
Um,
I
yes. It's so interesting because my husband is really in tune, so he'll be very like, are you okay? I think you're probably not, like, you're not super sad right now. Like, I think it's okay that you're like probably a little hormonal. I'm like, did you just call me hormonal? Like, like, are you serious? But like, I mean, he always has the best of intentions. But it is actually like really funny. But when growing up, I do remember people like if I got upset about anything, like, I mean, I actually remember there's like in weightlifting, there's like these big plates that you put on the edge of everything, but they have them in 5 pounds, and those are really bendy. Okay, so they're really light, 5 pounds, but at the end of the day, they're still 5 pounds, and they like look like a big frisbee. And somebody had frisbeed it, and it hit me square in the back. Had it hit me in the head, like it would have been like really damaging. And I was so mad. And I think that he was probably like really embarrassed because like I don't think he meant to hit anybody, but he frisbeed it, and I was so upset. And instead of apologizing, he was like, "What is it? Your time of the month or something?" And it was like a legitimate thing for me to be able to get upset at. But it was almost like
used against you.
yeah, exactly. Like I didn't, and the thing is at that point, I mean, I'm in high school, like, well, I didn't even know what to say. Like now I probably would have been like, what did you just say? But like back then, no, like I'm just, and he's like, yeah, you're like overreacting. It's just like, no, I'm not overreacting. I should tell on you.
And I think it goes back to like what we had talked about previously, and you had mentioned like educating your sons, your brothers, your friends. Like there's not probably enough of that. And I think as us women have babies and stuff, like, and sons or whatever, just talking to boys about like it's okay and this is what happens. And I think, and someone did say that, I read in the comment saying that boys need to be educated or men need to be educated, and I completely agree with that, so that they don't use it against us. Like if you know, we're feisty or whatever, oh, you're on your period, I think that that's something that's like, no, it's like, let's be more understanding, and let's not have that mentality that that's always the case, and it shouldn't be used against us.
Yeah.
Do you think that our physiological differences are represented in society in general, or like in the system? What do you think, Chari?
I think it's getting better. I think that's like the thing that's good is the more that we talk about it, the better it's getting. But I think we still have a long way to go. Because I think at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who still are they just don't understand. And a lot of us, can be really ignorant about things we don't understand. And until it really reaches every ear that we are different and we need to be celebrated for our differences, I think that's what's going to have the biggest impact. But until then, yeah, there's still going to be a big gap, and we've got to do our best to just keep talking about it, I think.
What do you think, Shayna?
Yeah, I think the same. I think it's definitely becoming more and more of a topic, and I think it's really good that, you know, as women we've been able to have a much bigger voice, and there's a lot more entrepreneurs and we feel more empowered, and that obviously is changing the people's interest in wanting to understand us a little bit more, and that's really good. But like you said, it definitely is going to take some time, I think, for it to really feel like it's not so obvious, especially in work settings. And I mean, every setting, school, work, I mean, kind of everywhere. But yeah, I think we're on the way to it not being that way, hopefully sooner than later. And that's what's amazing. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to come and talk about this topic. So
I just wanted to tell everybody who's watching, feel free to drop questions in the comment section. We're going to answer questions later on. Let me see. I see that there's some comments were happening. But we'll look at it later. Some guy was just like putting some weird emojis, and this is literally the reason why we are talking about this, because
there's been multiple comments that have been the reason why we're talking about this.
I couldn't really see, but that's literally like this person, whoever he is, he's literally the reason why we are talking about this, because some men just don't take this as a normal thing that happens to women every month.
And sometimes, like, I hate it, like, might come across like, I just feel like we're viewed as like sometimes like pieces of meat. Like, you walk in and it's just like, and it might sound bad, but like, you know, we're not,
especially
you know?
in the work setting. I mean, even for you, when you said it, when you walk into a meeting with some, like, talking about your company, like, they're just looking at you as this beautiful woman, but they put that first instead of putting your business and your, you know,
and now, unfortunately, I wish I didn't have to. I had to change and have a male representative with me at all times because of that. And it sucks that I have to do that. But because it was very clear that I was either being taken advantage of, they thought I was super vulnerable, super sweet, super nice, and it's a male dominated room. That now I had to bring someone specifically onto my team that's going to come and represent me in negotiations and deals, because of I was, you know, not given the same cards and it's completely changed. I've seen a big difference just having that male person next to me now. It's like,
really,
you know, I feel like I have, and it just sucks. But until, you know, like we have so much to do in this world to continue, you know, women are so strong and so powerful. And, you know, I can't wait to look back in a decade and say, you know, we were a part of this movement to help change the way women are viewed in society. So, and I'm so grateful for obviously Bellabeat for giving us this platform to talk about us women and the differences and the gender biasness. I'm super, super grateful, because I don't know another, you know, company that I personally have helped or been a part of that has done something like this.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I just wanted to tell everybody who's watching, the past week, we all put a little question box, and I told our followers to ask us any questions they might have or some topics they would like to address on this live. So I collected a few of them, and I'll just read through them. Hopefully we're going to have time to answer all of them. There was a question that said, how can employers support women in the workplace? Like, what can they do better to support females in the workplace? Maybe Isabel, you can answer, since you have a large team and you work with all women. So is there something you think what companies can do to improve?
I think it just needs to be just shared more. I think that whether it's meetings, I just think it starts from leadership. It starts from the top. You know, I think that if males start sharing that, you know, if you're having a hard day, you're not feeling well, it's okay to, you know, come in and ask for time off. Like, I just think it starts from the top and it's going to trickle down to like the company. And obviously it's a women owned business for us, Dolce Glow. But I think, you know, and that's why my girls feel so comfortable. Obviously they're not going to be embarrassed coming to me, hey, I'm on my period. I'm like, girl, go do your thing, go take care of it. Like, don't even, you know, take the day, rest, relax. And I think it truly starts from the top. So I think other business owners, male or women, can start to just have an open dialogue about this and women in general, and whether, you know, being pregnant or, you know, working the corporate world during that, it's very difficult being pregnant while working, and not only, you know, just being on your cycle. So I think just starting from the top and just being more open. And I think it can also, us women too, just talk about it more. I think, you know, even if we're not in a leadership role or, you know, just being open with your managers and supervisors. And I think at some point I'll finally hit them, like, it's okay to talk about.
What do you think, Shayna?
Yeah, I mean, I think a very similar answer. I also think that, you know, as women, we are so afraid to talk about it and feel like we're kind of don't really have a right to speak about it. So I think it's really coming into our power as women to say, like, listen, you know, I understand that maybe you don't, you know, understand maybe about the cycle very much, but like I'm really in a lot of pain. And it's just like we have to keep educating, and it has to just keep being an open conversation. And I think that also for people who are business owners, like before you hire somebody to be a runner of your team, maybe you should, you know, ask them if they have interest in a little bit of a caring soul to understand a little bit more about this topic too. So I think it's just, it's not necessarily holding people accountable, but it's just like being more open-minded and like really kind of looking at those greater things that make a person a little bit more caring and a little bit more understanding, instead of so like harsh for no reason. Because as we all know, like me being a business owner as well, and also Women Run, I'm a team of 3. We're all very supportive of each other, but they've also been in corporate settings where they didn't feel that way. And so it's like, it just needs to be talked about more.
Did you guys have your cycles synced already?
When I was, yeah, we did. When we were working together every day. Yeah. Now that I'm in Europe, they're still in the States, so they'll probably move hopefully like less than a year. But we were all in the same cycle too. Yeah.
I feel like, you know, even at corporate offices, you know how they have those vending machines where you can buy snacks and this and whatever. Maybe they can even add our feminine, you know, products in those vending machines, not just in the female bathroom. It doesn't have to be hidden. It doesn't have to be. There's a great question I saw, Chari, for you about gender bias in sports. What do you think?
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, that same thing could just be answered for me in the same way of how you guys were talking about in the workplace. Because like in my workplace, it's obviously how could coaches better support their female athletes? And I think that the biggest for me is to understand that men and women's bodies are different, so they train differently. So if you are a coach and you have or a parent, or you're an athlete yourself, you have to be willing to allow your athlete to train around their cycle. And there's going to be a week where you're not going to be able to give them really incredibly intense workouts, where maybe the male athletes will still be doing those intense workouts. It isn't as simple as like, oh, you can't just get out of it because of XYZ. No. Like, we are taking it easy this week so that you're not getting injured, so that you can continue. And something like that you were saying, Coco, like with like the feminine hygiene products and stuff like that. Like, I mean, something that I think could be really amazing in the workplace is to provide all of that kind of stuff instead of in vending machines, like doing it for free. Like, always provide all of that kind of stuff, like making sure that people are being taken care of in that way. I think that's pretty amazing. And like, I also, I had a coach once that had a bag, he had a bag full of tampons just in case any of his athletes started their period during practice. And it's like, sometimes as athletes, like our cycles are like all over the place, like literally I've gone 8 months with no period.
Wow. And because you were working out too much, or
just like, I mean, we put a lot of stress on our body, and a lot of times, you know, we don't train around our cycles very well. And so we put stress on our body that our body shouldn't be taking in. And so because of it, our period isn't able to come. And it's not the best. That's why we have to talk about it more, because that's why a lot of athletes are losing their periods, is because they are not training around them properly. And I think that that's a really something that doesn't get talked about enough. And it was always just like, because our periods are just so all over the place, we don't know when to bring tampons. Like, we can't always talk about it. So to have like if you're a coach or you are a dad, like having tampons in your car for your daughter, just in case she starts her period in the middle, like that kind of stuff. It's just so nice to feel. That's a great way to support
It's a
women.
really good tip.
Be okay with the fact that it could happen, and be willing to be part of the solution when it does.
There was another question that we got. What do you think is the most difficult thing about being a female entrepreneur? I'm gonna say, first off, English is not my first language. And sometimes when I'm speaking in meetings or something, and if I can't figure out a word, or I say something that sounds a little bit silly, I see that people look at me differently. So instead of, helping me saying something in a foreign language, they're like kind of making fun of, maybe so many people even comment on my accent or something. Like, what do you think would be helpful for females in the in the work environments? How can we overcome our insecurities or self-doubt? So like, I remember I was on a call recently with somebody from, it doesn't even matter, from LA, and I didn't know how to, I was like just mumbling, and I didn't know what to say specific, even like I am right now, like I'm just mumbling. I didn't know what to say exactly. And I noticed how that girl, and it was a girl actually, I noticed how she was not taking me seriously because she realized that I'm not from this country. So is that something you guys ever experienced, like in the work environment?
I don't think people, first of all, I feel like I don't think people realize, I mean, we should realize, but like, are people not realizing how difficult it is to speak a second language? And you do it flawlessly, by the way. Like, I don't understand why people would even like, I would be like, yeah, well, your English is a lot better than my any other language, like.
Yeah, but that happens to me all the time. Like, seriously, all the time people are commenting something about that. Okay, we're almost running out of time, so I'm just gonna ask a few more questions that we got in the chat. There was a question: what is the best characteristic you should look for in a business partner as a woman? Like, what was the best characteristics? Who would like to answer that? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's so weird how it comes and goes. I think still Dolce Glow, I'm 100% owner, but as we're looking to expand, there might be some opportunities to bring in other people. And I think the biggest thing that women have that others, that maybe men aren't as in sync with, is our intuition and energy. I'm a big feeler for energy. And I think that's like the first thing that helps me just kind of see or understand if this is going to be a good fit, is the way that person, how I feel with them the first 30 seconds as they walk into the room. So I think for me, energy is a big quality. I feel like everything in this world, you can learn, business, you can learn everything in life, you can learn, but I just think it's like that energy, that initial feeling that if they don't make you feel comfortable, another one, etc., that could, for me, that's like the biggest thing, is just intuition.
Yeah, and I saw a bunch of people were asking us in the comments about cycle syncing, and that's where actually Ivy, we all love and wear Ivy, that can really help and like just kind of guide you through your cycle and what to do on certain days and what not
Yeah,
to.
we have so many tools like that, and Ivy is a really amazing one that, I mean, can just help you be more in tune with your body, which I think is incredible, because our body is so amazing and it tells us so many things, but sometimes we're too busy to really notice and realize it. And that's why I really love the Ivy and why I love wearing it, because it brings awareness to my body that I didn't necessarily know about, and helps you understand your body and your cycle and everything a little bit more.
And also the great thing about obviously the Ivy, it's made by women for women. We, up until I didn't know about Bellabeat, years ago, but a lot of the other trackers out there are specifically tested and for males only. And so I think that, especially because Bellabeat is made for women by women, there's just so much more to obviously having the IV versus any other, tracking device out there, since it's specifically for women. So it's amazing for all of you guys on here that are looking to just be more in sync with yourselves and your cycle and your day to day. You have to check out the IV.
There's another question that I personally want to ask. What do you guys feel of when women turn 25 or like they're close to their 30s and people always start commenting about, oh, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? When are you going to, it's kind of like you can either be a wife and a mother, or you can, focus on your career. What do you think about that? Like our clocks are ticking. And Shayna, maybe.
Yeah, I think that it's crap, personally. I think that everybody is on a different path, and I think that society has made up fake rules that we have to have kids at a certain age, or we're supposed to be the stay-at-home mom, or we're supposed to do all these things, and they're not real rules. They're made up completely by society, and I don't think that anybody should follow them. I think that you should do exactly what you want to do because it feels right for you. And I have family members who waited to have kids until they were close to 40. I've had people that decided they didn't want to have kids at all, and to be judged because of a decision that is what was making you happy and what's made for your life it's completely unacceptable. And I think that we should feel more empowered to do what we want. If we want to be a mom, if we want to be the caretaker of the house and an entrepreneur, like you can do all those things. But if you just want to be a mom and you want to get married, like that's also just okay. It's like, there's no judgment on any path that anybody chooses to go on, and everybody is so individually different and so individually special, and that's what we should be focusing on, instead of comparing and trying to pretend like we need to get married and have kids, or we need to get, it's like, why do we have to get married and then have kids and then do that? Like, if you want to have kids first and then you decide you want to get married later, like there's also nothing wrong with that. So I think it's just like, be confident and do what makes you happy, and support people also who are doing the same as you, so that we can all just keep supporting each other and each other's, life path, instead of it being so fake ruled.
Yeah. I think another question, that just going back to what you said too, it's like when are you gonna have another baby? When, it's like, it's not that easy. It's just like, I went through a very traumatic delivery with my daughter that I'm a little traumatized. And I don't know if I want to put my body through that again. And it's not because I'm being selfish, but it's like, no one knows that it's not that easy to just pop out a baby. It's like the financial, it's like, there's so many things. And again, our bodies, like, people don't realize what pregnancy and delivery can be life-threatening sometimes, and that's the honest truth. Again, I had a very traumatic delivery with my daughter that, heck yeah, I'm freaking scared to do it again. Are you kidding me? I'd be lying to you flat out if I said, oh my God, I can't wait. I'm traumatized. And these are the things that, again, society and people don't talk about. It's not just you go to the hospital and deliver a baby. There's so much stuff that goes into that. So that's something that just drives me crazy. It's like, I don't want to have another baby, and that's okay. Like, I'm totally good with just one, and we'll leave it at that. So
people feel like they can just give their opinion about you and your life and your child. Like, she needs a sibling, or she did this. Like, it's your choice. It's your life. People should just understand that. There's a fact that I want to say that based on the Global Gender Gap Report, it's going to take 135 years for the gender gap to kind of close. Yeah. Let me see if there's any more questions we should tackle. I think our time is going to be running out. Is there anything else you guys really want to say before we kind of close this live? I'll start with you, Shari.
Well, first of all, there were two questions. One of them, somebody said that maybe the reason that I'm missing my period so often is that I was taking birth control, and I actually don't take birth control. So there's that. So it really is so important to train around your cycle. It's not a fake thing. And I think that leads into the second thing that I really wanted to say, because somebody else asked me, can I work out with the IV? And yes, that's actually, Bellabeat was one of the reasons that I even started getting into training around your menstrual cycle in the first place. And so, yes, you can work out with it. It tracks like your entire wellness from what you do outside of your workouts and what you're doing on inside of your workouts. And it allows you to sync it up with your cycle, and it's really helpful. So those are the two things. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was that as much as it's so important for us to talk about gender biases, because the only way that we can get rid of them is by talking about them, I also want to let you guys know that like being a woman has never been the reason that I haven't been able to get my goals. Like I decided that I wanted to work really hard, being kind of like a subpar, like pretty decent athlete, but nothing like insane. I decided that I wanted to keep clawing my way. And I honestly think that understanding my femininity really allowed me to get to where I am right now. And so, like for my females, for my any coaches that coach females or anybody who has daughters, like it is, yes, it's so important for us to claw our way through the biases that we deal with, and to break them and to dissect them and to make sure that we bust them open. But it's also so important to know that like embrace all of the differences between men and women, and use, as females, like use your power to like claw your way. I mean, honestly, all of that feminine energy, being creative when it came to problem solving, finding love in my sport, and like finding joy throughout every single workout that I do. Like those are the things that really got me to where I am. It wasn't just like getting it in the gym. It was just all of those things putting them together, and it really helped me. So women, like we can conquer, and that's like, we believe, all of us, we believe that like women can conquer, and that's why we wanted to be part of this amazing campaign. So keep fighting the good fight, keep going. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
Love that. Love that. Thank you. Shayna, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to add is just, you know, women who are obviously talking about a very women topic. I really want to encourage women to like support each other more and all of their path and whatever it may be. I feel like even though we're talking about gender biases, like I also get some of the same behavior from women and being jealous and not supporting each other. And I think that it is so important that as women we come together and support each other in a loving and kind way, like we would do to our husband or our children or whatever. And I just want to encourage women that like instead of being jealous and talking weird about other women, like we need to continue to come together and support each other and tell each other we're beautiful and whatever we're doing, and continue doing that.
Love that. Thank you. Isabel, is there anything else you want to add before we...
Yeah, I guess just piggybacking off of what Shayna said, I see it so much as me, also not just a CEO and founder of Dolce Glow, but being a celebrity spray tanner. It's not like makeup and hair where you change the looks based on, you want a makeup artist for this. With tanning, it's very specific. It's such a very intimate moment that I see it a lot where other women aren't supporting other women, and there's so much room for everyone. Half the time I can't do all the clients in LA or, you know, that are calling me. So I'm sending, you know, some of my clients to other girls because there's room for everyone. We can conquer, we can do it all. We can build businesses. We can be moms. We can be wives. We've shown that, we've proved that. And I'm just so excited to be a part of this movement, to continue to talk about the differences. But again, just use my platform and, you know, everything else that I came through. And statistics, you know, against me were, you know, I was going to, you know, there's so many things that could have been used against me as being a foster child, that, you know, I pushed through those stipulations. I pushed through. And so I know that we can do it. We will continue to do it. Manifestation is big, confident, we can conquer anything. So thank you guys so much.
I want to thank all of you beautiful ladies for being a part of this conversation, everybody who was watching, and I hope that we are going to continue this conversation to break the period shaming. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you, all three of you, for being here. And everybody has a fantastic Sunday.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
ladies.
Have a good Sunday.
Have a good Sunday. Bye.